And now it is time to talk about the wide receivers in fantasy football. Like I said in my running back video, I will not have an opportunity to get to every single wide receiver in this video. Please drop a comment down below. I would greatly appreciate it, and I will give you my best opinion on what I think is going to happen with those wide receivers that I do not get to in this video. But we're going to start off with number one, Cooper Kupp. 439 fantasy points last season, 145 catches, 1,900 yards, 16 touchdowns. I'm telling you, if he lands in the fourth or fifth overall pick, I would pick him and grab him because I tell you right now, he's a guy you do not want to pass up on. So Cooper Kupp, clearly number one on the list. Up next, I have Justin Jefferson. Clearly is going to have somewhat of a similar season that he did with the Minnesota Vikings. Had over 100 catches, 1,600 yards, 10 touchdowns. I expect a similar season like that with Justin Jefferson here. Justin Jefferson is clearly the number one wideout in Minnesota. Pick him if you have something between the 6th and the 8th overall pick. Someone who I thought had 100 catches last year, but only finished with 81. Ja'Marr Chase of the Cincinnati Bengals, 81 catches, 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns. This kid has been phenomenal for them since him and Joe Burrow have linked back together since being teammates at LSU. They get to the Super Bowl practically in their first season together. And you can't forget, T. Higgins is on the other side of the field. So you got two phenomenal wideouts who can go deep ball on you and get mossed. But I tell you, Ja'Marr Chase is the number one wideout, but T. Higgins is right behind him. I mean, Cincinnati's got two number one wideouts, but Ja'Marr Chase, expect him to have somewhere around 100 catches this year. Number four, he's moving down a little bit from last year, 123 catches, 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns in Green Bay. Davante Adams, who is now with the Las Vegas Raiders. He does I do have him dipping down in production just because he's with Derek Carr, even though Derek Carr had a great year last year and threw for almost 5,000 yards. But I will say this, he's not going to have 169 targets. He'll probably have somewhere between 130, 140 targets, depending on how healthy he stays throughout the season. But Davante Adams, who was number two, it was the number two wide receiver in fantasy football in terms of points behind Cooper Kupp. Deebo Samuel, we have to talk about him and his dual threat ability at the wide receiver spot. Not only be able to catch the football, but also being able to run the football as a running back on these jet sweeps. 77 catches, over 1,400 yards. He only had 6 receiving touchdowns, but he did have just under 60 carries for 350 yards and 8 touchdowns on the ground. It's a question of who's going to be at the quarterback position. Is it going to be Jimmy Garoppolo or is it going to be Trey Lance? Everyone's pointing to Trey Lance as the QB1 here for this team. I think no matter who you pick, at the QB spot, Deebo Samuel is going to have somewhat of a similar season, and he's going to be heavily relied upon, not only in the ground, but through the air as well. One guy I have completely starred as well here is CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb only had 79 catches for 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns. I expect CeeDee Lamb to be somewhere around 100 catches this year. Why? Because there's no more Amari Cooper, who's now with Cleveland. Michael Gallup is currently out because he tore his ACL late last year. So I expect a ton more receptions and targets for CeeDee Lamb this upcoming season for the Dallas Cowboys. So I asterisk him because he could be somewhere in the 300 fantasy point range this year and it could climb even higher than that with the upside and how long it takes for Michael Gallup to get back. Other guys you should be targeting, I asterisk this guy, DJ Moore of the Carolina Panthers. This guy's going to be around the 100 reception mark this year because Baker Mayfield has been named the starter in week 1 for the Carolina Panthers. So I absolutely do expect him to be somewhere around 100 receptions this year and somewhere around the same yards. I would like to see him get some more red zone targets, but I know guys like Robbie Anderson and others get more of those targets than DJ Moore. But DJ Moore clearly is going to have another really good year and piggyback off of last season. Is Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton of the Denver Broncos. Both of these guys' numbers are going to go up through the roof because of Russell Wilson being the quarterback in Denver now. They both should be somewhere close to 1,000-yard seasons. I won't be shocked if they both have 1,000-yard seasons. But last year, they only combined for 2 receiving touchdowns, which is very unfortunate due to the quarterback situation that happened last year in Denver. But good young core of wide receivers. Then you also have the running back situation there with Melvin Gordon the third, Javonte Williams, who everyone is talking about to have a big season for the Denver Broncos as their number one back. So Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, those two guys' numbers are going to go way up. Must avoids. Robert Woods had his moment in the sun with the Los Angeles Rams for a number of years. But if Ryan Tannehill is starting, if either one of these quarterbacks is starting, I do not recommend Robert Woods to be picked. He's a good guy to have on your bench to fill in for a bye week, but he's someone that he's more of a flex option than anything else. He's going to have a couple of weeks where he's going to have some really good numbers only because A.J. Brown and Julio Jones are both not there anymore. He's more like your second best wide receiver on this team. Is he going to be the number one wide receiver on this team? It's very likely, but there are plenty of other options and fish out in the sea that are better than Robert Woods. And last but not least, I said don't go after Amari Cooper, and the only reason why I say don't go after Amari Cooper is because Deshaun Watson is suspended for the first 11 games of the regular season, and that's a crushing blow for Cleveland, who is looking to get back into the playoffs this year, and to not only do that, but to have bragging rights and win the division. Amari Cooper can still put up wide receiver one numbers. We saw what he did in Dallas. We saw what he did in the years that he had in Oakland. Thank you guys again so much for your time. If you guys haven't already, please leave a like and a subscribe to the channel. I can't wait to go over part 4 of the series, which is the tight end spot. Thank you guys again. I hope to see all your faces in the next one. Deuces.